So I spoke at a church, not going to mention the name of the church, not going to even mention the state or denomination. And I looked around, and from the naked eye, I saw deterioration throughout the church. Obviously, I did not see electrical systems. I did not see HVAC. I did not see plumbing. But just from the naked eye, I saw all kinds of deterioration. And I wondered to myself, what is this church going to do? Well, I don't need to answer that question. We have with us Mike Stadelmayer, the president and owner of Church Growth Services. Mike, thanks for being with us. You're back with us a second time, 2 episodes in a row. Great to have you.
Great to be here. Love being a part of the Church Answers family.
Well, we love having this partnership with you where our audience is able to turn to you for all things generosity, all things giving, all things stewardship. And we continue just to tell people about you all the time and about Church Growth Services as well. Just to let you know that Church Growth Services link, churchgrowthservices.com, is in the show notes. I encourage you to go and look at all that the company has to offer and give Mike a shout out or give him a call or an email and talk to Church Growth Services about what they can do for your church. And though we mentioned it in the last episode, and I don't really have it in my notes for this episode, I would just put it back in there, and I'd say go to their Grow Generosity Academy if you want the type of campaign that is basically a do-it-yourself, except for the fact that they guide you. Church Growth Services and Mike guide you through it all through video-based teaching. So just check that out. Hey, before we get started, I want to thank our friends at Belay, our productivity experts. They are the experts in remote staffing. They've been doing this since 2010. They have a download called 4 Costly Mistakes for Churches, and it really focuses around the personnel issue. And you need to get that. They know their stuff in personnel. You can get it by going to Thom, Thom, at 55123. That's Thom at 55123. Mike, I gave a nonfiction account of my walking into a church in 2023. I know we're releasing this in early 2024, but not that long ago, that's what I saw. Am I watching something that is common among churches? Is this something that you are seeing regularly?
You know, Thom, I think this is a growing epidemic in the life of the church. Churches are aging in terms of their facilities. They're 20, 30, 40 years old. We're doing more and more capital campaigns for churches to take care of deferred maintenance as opposed to new buildings. And I've walked into some facilities where they literally painted the floor underneath the carpet, where the carpet has grown thin, the color of the carpet, so people wouldn't notice that the carpet is so bare thin that they can see the floor, and talk regularly to churches who have leaking roofs. Church in Florida here recently, the air conditioners going out. Well, in Florida, you need air conditioning, and it's a growing problem that's underfunded in their budgets because of their tight budgets, and they're not quite sure what to do or what to do with it. And so,
I know one of those pastors of that Florida church. That particular pastor named Sam Rayner with the multiple buildings. I know that pastor has air conditioning problems to the tune of $2.1 million. Oh my goodness. Yeah. He knows deferred maintenance pretty well, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see it more and more. In the last church I pastored full time, when we went there, deferred maintenance was put on hold because they were financially struggling. And there were sections of the parking lot in terrible shape, doors delaminating, issues all throughout the building. And one of the problems we faced was, Thom, was every time somebody brought up one of those problems, the first word out of the treasurer or a deacon's mouth was, so how are we going to pay for that? And if you don't stay on top of deferred maintenance, it becomes almost like that old game whack-a-mole. Every time an issue pops up and you're whacking it down, another one pops up and they're popping up all around you. And quite honestly, it became a distraction for my ministry. I didn't become a pastor to, run a facility and keep fixing doors and air conditioners and parking lots. I became a pastor to preach the gospel, challenge the church to become evangelistic and share their faith and disciple people. And it became a real distraction to our ministry because it was constantly dealing with things breaking down and trying to figure out how to pay for it and keep our facility welcoming to new families and guests.
You have a new ebook out on deferred maintenance, and we'll put a link into there. But let me ask you, what do you do initially when you go into a church and they have significant deferred maintenance? Is it maybe the common sense thing I'm thinking about? You work with them to get the generosity, get the funds to take care of what is there now in order of priority, and then perhaps in the future you get them to fund something, a reserve account or something for the future. Tell us what you do in these situations.
Yeah, generosity campaigns for deferred maintenance is very different from a brand new building project. You got to work a lot harder at vision because nobody gets the pretty pictures of the new children's wing or the new sanctuary or the new campus. We're working with a church right now, and uh, they're trying to raise $5 million for air conditioners and parking lots, and fixing some bathrooms and some things like that. And that's not terribly exciting. And so we start by working with them at vision casting. They really have to work much harder at casting the vision for buy-in from the congregation for deferred maintenance. But one of the advantages of considering a generosity campaign as opposed to just borrowing the money or nickel and diming it is part of what I said before. You get to get past those issues, at least the big ones, and you start focusing again on ministry and reaching people with the gospel. And you're not just this constant drip, drip, drip of a faucet all the time by just tackling it and getting past it. But then, yeah, you got to start funding your general fund, because the day you fix it, the day it starts deteriorating. And the cost, if you don't stay on top of it, as you know from companies like Smart Church Solutions, the cost if you don't stay on top of it is exceedingly higher than if you stay on top of it early.
You have obviously had some good fruit success with the campaigns that you've had with deferred maintenance, uh, or you wouldn't be doing it. I mean, that's evident that this is a ministry that you have a heart for. Uh, Without giving a lot of details or anything else, just share with us maybe a general success story. Maybe it's a combination of several. It doesn't have to be any one, but a church that did well funding this thing that had not been funded for so long, and now they raise the necessary dollars to do something about it.
Yeah, we've had some that just have essentially gone to their congregation and said, "Hey, folks, we're preparing for company. Company's coming." And in my household, when company was coming, when I was a kid, that meant I didn't go out and play football that day for a pickup game in the neighborhood. That means I had to clean a toilet or vacuum a rug or something. And same is true of the church. You need to present yourself well. We did a campaign where it was in a white collar area, and there was an expectation of people who came. Some of them would walk in the building, turn around, look at the facilities, and turn around and walk back out and never even experience the church.
Mm.
And by the time they got done, they raised $2.5–3 million. This place was warm, welcoming, fellowship spaces for young families to gather together. They knew where to go when they walked in the building. It was such a blessing to that church and such a healthy campaign. I remember going to the celebration service, and they took those streamer poppers for like New Year's, and all around the balcony, shot them in the air and had the streamers going and just really celebrated. And the change in that church's environment has been just significant. And people don't walk out before they experience the warmth and love of the people and the word from the church and the worship and all that stuff.
In those cases, it becomes a gospel issue. Uh, you have people, many of whom are not followers of Christ. They turn around and leave because they're afraid to go into the facility the way it looks. And but now they walk in after this deferred maintenance is taken care of. They hear the gospel, and just the very act of taking care of your deferred maintenance becomes a gospel issue. So I love that when the church growth services is a part of not only helping a building, but helping a building become a gospel issue. And that's so much of what y'all do at Church Growth Services, Mike. And that's why we're so overjoyed to have a relationship with you through Church Answers.
Yeah, Tom, scripture challenges us. It says in the Old Testament, why are you living in luxurious houses while my house lies in ruins? Now go up into the hills, bring down the timber, and rebuild my house. Many times we're
Haggai
living,
1. That's Haggai 1.
that's exactly right. Many times we're allowing the church to be in an environment that we wouldn't allow our own houses to be. And I think excellence of facilities honors God. And in my case with ministry, it was such a distraction to the work we were trying to do that a campaign to just really knock it out and get on top of it was a healthy solution.
Well, you've been listening to Mike Stadelmayer. As always, these interviews are way too quick. We had one with him in the previous episode, number 124. So if you listen to this one first, go back and listen to that one on issues related to the general fund, issues related to just raising the money to keep the church ministries going and the personnel on board. So listen to that too. Don't forget that his website address is churchgrowthservices.com. Very easy to remember. And don't forget, in the show notes, we have an ebook on deferred maintenance. Again, when you have a financial need in your church, a financial solution that needs to be addressed, go to Church Growth Services. They are our choice for churches, and I hope that you will consider them as well. Hey, let me finish by thanking our friends at Belay, the experts in productivity, those who've given us remote staffing since 2010. They have a great new download that's really talking about financial mistakes, particularly in the area of personnel. You can get this 4 costly financial mistakes for churches by going to Thom, Thom, at 55123. That's Thom at 55123. Mike, thanks again for being on these 2 episodes. Always a joy to have you.
Thanks, Tom. Pleasure to be with the Church Answer family and with you and to serve the church together.
Well, I would wish you Merry Christmas, but this is before Christmas recording and after Christmas when it's going to be released. So you have a Merry Christmas. I hope all our listeners and viewers have one as well. Thank you for being a part of the Church Answers podcast. Remember, we have 3 episodes every week, and you've had 2 of them dedicated to Church Growth Services. I hope you will reach out to them. As always, thank you for being a part of this ministry and our family at Church Answers. We'll see you in the next episode.